And welcome to the Quiet Man series. This is episode 2, in fact chapter 2 of the book. Now why am I smiling? Well, I've had to look back through chapter 2 to pick out the high points to talk about today. And the chapter is entitled Develop Your Own Sunny Disposition, which we'll come on to shortly. Now this part of the story starts in 1966. There were two significant events in 1966. England won the World Cup, which they're still waiting to do again. And I went to Price's Grammar School. I had been fortunate enough to pass 11 plus. England winning the World Cup will live on. My entrance into Price's Grammar School will just fade away into history. But at this point in my life, really, you're starting to learn about routine and structure and rules. And very quickly, we were immersed in what you would call time management today. It was the routines, it was the schedules. You did this class here, you went to that class there, you did this for study, you had lunch breaks there. So it was a very structured environment. The other thing we got introduced to was exams. Really, really rigorous exams. For the first 3 years, I didn't do too bad. I was rising up through the ranks in the class. Sometimes I'd come top, sometimes I'd come second. But then it all starts to go horribly wrong. Around about the age of 14. Now that is quite a vital transition point. And when you explore the book a little bit more, you'll realise there are these cycles in life. And the first one is the first 14 years of life. Well, I was coming to that end of really where childhood transitions to adulthood. Now there's nothing in society nowadays to help people make that transition. I mean, if you're Jewish, of course, you've got your bar mitzvah, which happens about this time. It's the recognition of moving from childhood to adulthood, where you can be held responsible for your actions. Mine just kind of exploded with teenage angst and teenage rebellion. And my mother one day, she tried to discipline me. Remember in the pilot episode, I talked about one of the mantras of life was, spare the rod, spoil the child. And my mother tried to discipline me one day. She went to get the bamboo cane from the corner in the kitchen and she came back to admonish me, and I just took the cane off her and snapped it in two. And she just looked at me horrified, but she realised there was nothing she could do. The words that resonated were, just you wait till your father comes home. And I just laughed. That was 2 years away at least, or so I thought. The other watershed moment probably happened about a year before that. My mother turned around to me one day in the kitchen and said, Neil, you got your head in the clouds. Stop dreaming. And I've heard that so many times in my life. Neil, you got your head in the clouds. Stop dreaming. But I can remember saying to her quite distinctly, no, Mum, my head's not in the clouds. It's above them. And she spluttered, you what? I said, yeah, my head's above the clouds because it's always, always sunny up there. So this chapter is entitled Develop Your Own Sunny Disposition, and that really is the tip for the chapter. Develop your own sunny disposition. I'm just going to finish this chapter with an incident that happened. I was 16 by this point. I'd actually made it to the sixth form. Somehow or other I'd got through my O-levels, but I was not liking school. The exams were definitely showing I didn't really want to be there. And I can remember being at a concert at Portsmouth Guildhall with my friend Paul, who figures quite prominently in the book. And he turned around to me and said, Neil, go get yourself an apprenticeship, get yourself a trade. And within a month, I had secured myself a cadetship with the Royal Fleet Auxiliary, which is where chapter 3 is going to start. And I left school and went and worked at a bottling factory in Fareham, Schweppes bottling factory, on the princely sum of £25 a week. Happy days for 6 months until I took up the cadetship. But that's more to come in episode 3. I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. If you've liked this episode, please like it. Please comment on it. Please share it. But thank you, and I'll see you tomorrow.